Week on Sports Path, we will start out with some lacrosse highlights. We were there as the Tartan girls opened their season against Mounds View, and on the boys' side, we caught the action as White Bear Lake hosted the Academy of Holy Angels as the Bears look to defend their state title and take home another crown. Then we will finish things up with a live interview with Cody Melhorn, the White Bear Lake Ultimate Frisbee coach. Stay tuned as we take you down the sports path.
Ground ball finds the hole up the middle.
Steps up, goes deep left side. Receiver open, count it. Touchdown, Titans! Takes a nice shot outside the goal box, and he will break the 0-0 tie. Fantastic shot by Kenloff Solon.
Giller makes a move, a good one. Opportunity here. The Bears score! The Bears strike first.
He's at the 40. He's down to the 30, the 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Jalen Bryant. Why not? What a beautiful run.
Maureen there fights her off the puck. Opportunity here. Another sit and a goal! Second chance effort for the Pioneers.
Put the icing on the cake, if you will, Mike. Let it go down and got to the outside and said good evening and good night.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Sports Path, the show that focuses on high school sports in the Northeast Metro. I'm your host Sam Erickson. We have content that focuses on the White Bear Lake Bears, the Mahtomedi Zephyrs, North St. Paul Polars, the Tartan Titans, and the Hill Murray Pioneers. We have a great show for you today. The spring sports season is finally underway, and after a little break with Sports Path, we are excited to bring you some highlights, interviews, stats, and trivia. Before we get too in-depth with the spring sports season, however, let's get into one of those trivia questions. Now, if you remember the last episode of Sports Path, we had some players from the North basketball team on our show, and during that show, we asked you, when was the last time the North boys basketball team made it to the state tournament? Now, surprisingly, we didn't have anyone guess correctly, and so I bet you're all dying to know the answer. Well, the last time the North boys basketball team made the state tournament was in 1999. Now, another interesting fact about this historic season for North basketball was the last time they won the conference championship was before I was born. Actually, quite a few years before I was born, actually, and that was in 1970. So congratulations once again to the North Polars basketball team with their great season. And now let's move on to this week's trivia question. And we expect to have a lot of White Bear Lake viewers this week, so for our trivia question, we will focus on White Bear Lake. The question for this week is, how many state championships do the White Bear Lake Bears have? Now this isn't just for one sport. We want to know how many state championships they have across all sports. And so to answer this question, remember all you have to do is log into your Facebook, click on the search bar, type in TV19 Sports, and comment on the post pinned to the top of our page. While you're at it, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button so that you can get updates on everything we're doing here at TV19 Sports. So enough for the trivia question for now, and we're going to take a quick look at some of our Fab 5 teams that look to be strong coming into the spring season. In boys baseball, Mahtomedi looks good again this year, even after graduating Sean Jelly. The Zephyrs are ranked 3rd in Class 3A in the early season. In softball, North St. Paul seems to be a team that is near the top of the standings year in and year out. Last year, the Polars finished ranked 7th in Class 3A and look to build off that in 2016. White Bear Lake finished the regular season ranked 4th in boys lacrosse last year, but as many of you know, that is not where they ended up. The Bears ended up as state champs after a few incredible upsets in the playoffs. And they look real dangerous again this year, already with a couple big wins, and Shane Olson is among the Metro leaders in scoring. And finally, in girls lacrosse, Matamidi, Hill Murray, and Tartan all won their first games, and it should be a very good race in the Metro East Conference this year. So there's a brief look at some of your Fab 5 spring teams. And speaking of Tartan girls lacrosse and their first game, we were on hand to broadcast that one, and we've got some highlights of what ended up being a very close contest. You take a look there at Tartan Stadium in Oakdale. And just 3:29 into the first half, Tartan Zoe Colshaw-Klein uses her speed to pick up a loose ball and get around the Mounds View defenders to break into the net for the first goal of the game. And that's actually Tartan's first on the season. And always glad to be up 1-0 in the early going. Then just 2 minutes later, Brianna Grease-Scullins gets a pass out of the top of the key, breaks in for the second goal of the game. About 11 minutes into the first half, Jaden Young comes fast to the net from way down the field. Goalie makes the initial save, but number 13, Sydney Fedorowski, gets the rebound and puts it back. And if you saw there, she actually got it out of midair. What a finish there. Tartan up 3-0. Then Grace Minder has the ball off a penalty, and she's in perfect position, and the goalie just can't quite get her stick on it, giving Tartan the 4-0 lead. And that would be her score at halftime. Tartan goalie Olivia Schultz was having a great game so far, stopping all the shots that she saw in the first half. And you see Colshaw-Klein getting another goal off a stoppage to start the scoring in the second half there, making it 5-0. And things change up a little bit in the middle of the second half, however, as Mounds View gets on the board as Chelsea Alley gets a pass right in front of net and puts it in. Then with 10 minutes left in the half, Mounds View gets another goal from Alley after running around the back of the net, and it is now 5-2 Tartan leading. And only 19 seconds after that one, number 50, Nev Wheelcore, gets another one for the Mustangs. And so now that lead is only 5-3 for Tartan, and Mounds View making quite a comeback. And a few minutes later, off the stoppage, number 16, Hannah Collins, gets a pass across the front of the net and slams it in, and making it 5-4. Mounds View now only trailing by 1. Number 9, Lainey Walter gets the ball after a penalty and gets a great shot at the net. Olivia Schultz makes the initial save but doesn't know where the ball goes, pops way up into the air, and as you'll see again, actually bounces off the back of her leg and into the net. What a way to tie this one up. So 5-5. But just a few minutes later, after an infraction on the draw, Zoe Colshaw-Klein gets the ball and finishes the game just how she started, racing up the middle of the field, using her speed and taking it herself. That makes it 6-5, and that would be the final score of this one. Mounds View had a couple of chances at the end, but Tartan holds on, and they start off this season 1-0. All right, and that's our girls lacrosse highlight for today. We also have a boys highlight, and that one is when White Bear Lake hosted the Academy of Holy Angels. And as you see, there's a shot of the beautiful turf at White Bear Lake. And White Bear Lake was the 2015 state champions in boys lacrosse and looking good again this year. Jared Look getting a goal only 47 seconds into the first quarter. White Bear up 1-0. Second goal comes only seconds later as Shane Olson drives towards the net and bounces a shot off the ground. Recovery behind the net sends the ball right back to Olson, who fires another shot. And that one goes in. Olson's first goal makes it 2-0. And then now you see some of White Bear Lake's dominance as Ethan Peterson wins the draw and takes it right down to the right side of the field and gets the goal, making it 3-0. The Stars would hold off White Bear Lake for a few minutes until they net their fourth goal with 5:48 left to go in the first quarter. This one again goes to Shane Olson, and that's 4-0 White Bear. The Stars would finally get on the board as number 14, Dane Cusber, from behind the net, passes it out front, but then gets it right back to net a goal. And you see the first quarter would end with the score 4-1. White Bear Lake looking in charge early on in that one. And the second quarter would start just like the first quarter, with White Bear Lake scoring with a nice fake at the net by number 22, Joey Goudreau. You can see he fakes a shot over the top and then puts it into the bottom corner, totally faking out the goalie, making it 5-1. With just 2 minutes left in the half, the Stars would get a fluke goal. Number 22 catches White Bear Lake off guard and somehow gets behind the goalie for a deep pass, and he's not going to miss that empty-netted shot. The score was 7-4. You see at half it is 8-4. White Bear keeping that 4-goal advantage. And the Stars would actually start out the scoring in the second half with a goal for number 8, Tommy Martin, 2:40 into the second half. He just whips it towards the goal, and you got to see the speed on that shot was pretty unreal. And that's 8-5. Stars kind of creeping back into it, but Shane Olson doing it again, gets his third goal of the night to make it 9-5. White Bear Lake got a few more goals in the third, but then there's this one with the final seconds, in the third, making it 11-5. As you see, White Bear went on a little bit of run there in the third quarter to open up the lead. Start things off in the fourth with 1 minute into the quarter. Jace Goudreau gets a pass right in front of the net. He turns quick and fires one in right before getting decked by a Holy Angels defender. That'll make it 12-5. And then Casey Cunningham right here, number 13. He's a freshman. He makes it 13-5. And Cunningham actually got a huge goal against Wayzata, which White Bear won a few days before this one. Stars will get a few goals to finish this one out, but White Bear wins it handily 14-10, and the Bears are looking real strong here to start off the season and look good to defend their state championship. So there you have it. There are a few spring sports are underway. Coming up next, we have an exclusive interview with Cody Melhorn, the White Bear Lake Ultimate Frisbee coach. That's right, it's exclusive. Stay tuned, everyone.
Hello, I'm Jody Ritaka, host of Inside Healthcare. In this month's program, we take a close look at binge drinking. It's an alarming health problem. We find out how much is too much alcohol, what happens inside your body when you binge drink, and the unintentional and intentional health problems of overindulgence in alcohol. An emergency care doctor joins us here in the studio to talk about what you should know about binge drinking. Plus, if you're like millions of people, getting a good night's sleep is not that easy, and left untreated, lack of sleep can lead to some serious health problems. A Minnesota sleep specialist talks about this major health issue and what you can do about it. That's all right here on On Location TV 19.
Community media, from my point of view, is organic.
It's power.
Public access to me gives me an opportunity to get my word out to the larger community of the town that I can't get to on my own.
This is good programming. This is what people say, well, how come they don't ever write anything good in the news, right? This is the good news.
What we're doing is critical, it's important. We have to stay energized and motivated to do this work in our community, but understand that our real mission is to hold up our part as we encourage others to hold up their part around the planet.
We talked this month about a new business in our community, Glorious Hugs, which uses some really innovative strategies to promote a business to our senior community. All of this on Your Business Matters.
TV19 sports fans, we want to remind you that we are always looking for volunteers to run camera at our sports broadcasts. It is very easy and, more importantly, very fun, and the fun thing about it is it's very important. All you have to do is contact Arlen Becker at the contact info on the screen, and we will get you started on helping out with the broadcast. We bring snacks and pop and have a great time each show, so sign up. It's only a phone call away. All right, hello and welcome back to the Sports Path studio. I am your host, Sam Erickson. You may have noticed that the set looks a little different. You see the Frisbees behind me, and that is because we have an interview with the White Bear Lake Ultimate Frisbee coach. But first, before we get into the interview, let's recap our trivia question for the show. And since this episode focuses a little more on White Bear Lake, we wanted to ask a question about the White Bear Lake Bears. And that question is, how many state tournament championships do the White Bear Lake Bears have? This includes not just single sports, but all sports. We want to know how many state championships the Bears have across all sports, fall, winter, and spring. To answer, go to our Facebook page and comment on the post pinned to the top of the page. The winner receives a special TV19 prize. All right, and as we said, we do have an interview, and I'm sitting here with Cody Melhorn. And you are the coach of the White Bear Lake Ultimate Frisbee, but you also play a role in the Classic Suburban Conference for Ultimate Frisbee. And what is that role?
Well, first, thanks for having me. So I'm the conference coordinator for the Classic Suburban Conference this year. It involves finding a stadium site, kind of coordinating all the logistics of balloting for all conference nominees, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, that sort of thing. And communicating that back to the league. And this year, as a new initiative, is to have those games filmed. So that's where TV19 is helping out graciously. Yeah.
And I know that Ultimate Frisbee isn't quite sanctioned through the Minnesota State High School League as other sports are. Can you talk a little bit about how it is organized in the state here at the high school level?
Sure. So if we start towards the top, all of Frisbee at the competitive level is governed by USA Ultimate. Then beneath that, you have certain state organizations, Minnesota being one of them. They recognize such a kind of groundswell of support for Frisbee here in Minnesota that they kind of put the resources into that. So now we're Minnesota Ultimate. We used to be called Minnesota Youth Ultimate. Now we're one overarching deal. And then there's a high school league that's separated into one big league, but we have men's, women's competition for that. So, yeah.
And because it isn't sanctioned through the State High School League, how does that affect funding and things at the high school level here in Minnesota right now?
Sure, funding's always a challenge. Luckily, there are low barriers to play for Ultimate, but at least in our case, the White Bear Lake School District has been super supportive in giving us field space, access to equipment and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean we do fundraising on our own. But yeah, it's always a challenge. For sure.
It's kind of a school by school basis a little bit.
Right. So I mean, you have some programs that might have like a traditional booster system set up, some that do fundraising on their own. But yeah, it's kind of unique to each program. Yep.
And you talked a little bit, how it doesn't take a lot to play the sport. You can get involved pretty easily. Let's start off by talking a little bit about this sport. Can you explain a little bit of the history of the sport here in Minnesota?
Sure.
And maybe how long there has been some of these high school teams?
Yeah, so I was actually just reading today that the first high school state tournament was in 2003. I believe that was out in Maple Plain and at the Twin City Polo Field. So it stayed out there for a while. It was really small then, maybe 12 teams in 2003. White Bear Lake joined the league in 2005. So this is our 10th year as a program. And then to kind of compare where it started to where it is now, last year at the state tournament, I think there were 75 teams competing, and Minnesota is the largest youth market for Frisbee in the country. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, from an outsider's perspective, Ultimate Frisbee might be kind of a new sport, but you say it's growing quite a bit. Would you consider it growing fast then here?
I would, yeah. I mean, every year a couple of new teams seem to pop up, in our conference included. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the things it really has going for it is people get exposed to it. It's really easy. It's an easy game to learn. It's difficult to master like any sport, but you know, the barriers to play are pretty low. You know, and it's a good workout for people that are joining it for that purpose.
And when you say, you know, when schools kind of join up, what goes into school maybe starting a team? Does it usually start that there's you know, a lot of students at the school kind of playing together, or maybe people cross-training for another sport or something like that, and then they kind of get more organized and you know, get other teams and, you know, contact other teams and get involved that way?
Yeah, I think you have it exactly right. It comes from people that, you know, are cross-training, learning it in, you know, Phi Ed or something like that. We have a lot of players in our program that did track and cross-country, football, that have, you know, been introduced to the game to cross-train and that sort of thing. So, but, you know, at least in our case, we were, there's a good amount of interest in the sport from the students themselves, and we also had some people early in the game that were helpful in kind of forming the organization and, you know, doing some of the admin stuff to keep it from just a group of high school kids running around on the field.
And what about if you're younger than high school age? Are there now youth programs, say in like White Bear Lake and other, you know, areas?
Not locally in White Bear. White Bear Lake Ultimate does do summer pickup games on Tuesdays that us coaches kind of put on to introduce, you know, kids in middle school and to allow an opportunity for kids that are currently in the program to continue over the summer. But Minnesota Ultimate has just launched their or they're in their second or third year of the middle school league. So I think they formed like 12 mixed teams with middle school players that compete in all over the metro. So it's definitely growing.
All right,
sure.
Very cool, very cool. Let's get into the rules a little bit. First off, what does an ultimate frisbee field look like, say compared to like a football field? I believe we may have a graphic that can kind of show us there.
I'll look at that. So yeah, I mean, you can see the football field in the back there. It's slightly narrower, about 40 yards wide, end zones being 20 yards, and then kind of front end zone line to front end zone line is 70 yards. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to the size of a lacrosse field too.
I noticed the end zones are actually 20 yards long. I mean, that kind of allows players to run on and catch a frisbee that, you know, does carry in the air longer than, say, maybe a football.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there for play in and around the end zones. Yeah.
And does that lead to exciting play?
It does.
A lot of exciting plays in this sport?
Sure. I'm not going to say it's limited to just the end zone where the exciting play happens,
exactly.
But everywhere. That's for sure. But yeah, so I mean, there's plenty of room for, you know, your long, you know, people want to call them Hail Marys, your hucks, if you will. But yeah.
And so could you liken it to a football in some ways without the contact?
Sure. I think that's what intrigues a lot of people about the sport when they get into it is, you know, they've had success in football, basketball, soccer, and it's kind of a blend of those three sports. So it combines the endurance and constant movement of soccer with the, you know, the exciting plays of football in that sense. And then I guess the only kind of relation it has to basketball is you're kind of field and court awareness, as well as you have to establish a pivot foot just like in basketball. So yeah.
So really incorporating a lot of things from a lot of different sports. No wonder, you know, it's kind of growing in popularity, and like you said, it's good for cross training. You know, we saw the graphic of the field rather. What is the goal of ultimate frisbee? I mean, I guess I mentioned the end zones. Is that the goal?
Sure. Yeah. It's to work the group up as a unit, or work the disc up as a group of 7 players. You know, advance the disc up the field. And it's also doing that with you know, incredible respect and sportsmanship for the opposing team, right? So Ultimate is kind of built on this concept of the spirit of the game, which is huge. It governs the entire sport because Ultimate is quite different from a lot of sports in that there are no referees. It's self-officiated. So you know, if there's a call on the field, let's say you think I ran into you, you would call a foul. We would kind of discuss, see, you know, what my perspective was, what your perspective was. Can we come to a resolution? This all happens very quickly, of course. Right. But so yeah, it's, you know, it involves a lot of communication between the players. We constantly get feedback from parents like, you know, I like the way that involves, you know, those lifelong skills that you have to teach in a kid of like communication, conflict resolution, and that sort of thing. So without the other team, there is no game. So you have to, you know, respect them, play with the utmost sportsmanship.
That's a good perspective. I do like that. And so you're telling me that there are no referees and that there are high school kids out here that can, kind of compromise and make split-second decisions. Does that ever make your job a little bit harder as a coach?
It
Do you
does.
ever have to kind of intervene or?
Right. If something, we really try and keep it with the 14 players on the field. I think one of the biggest things to learn is, as a new player to the sport, you want to be calling fouls for your teammate that's on the field, but that's really frowned upon in Ultimate. So it's left to the 7v7 that are playing on the field. As coaches, we can step in when necessary, when they're just kind of butting heads or not.
So other players on the field can get involved with the call, or
right,
kind of
right, and it depends on what the
perspective or a viewpoint or something.
Depends on what the call is, but yeah. To your point about there not ever being a referee, they're at the upper echelons of play, the high level tournaments in the pro leagues, there are what called observers, which will make they're kind of like a quasi referee, pretty much, but they don't make active calls, so they can, if you and I have an issue on the field, we can't reach a resolution, we'll defer to an observer, and they'll help us out with what their perspective was and ultimately make the call.
Nice. Well, very cool. I wish we had a lot more time to kind of go over all the rules of the sport, but we kind of want to get into a couple other things. I know you guys are looking for kind of another successful season at White Bear, but you're also hosting a tournament, and this is the first annual Matoska Classic. What exactly is the Matoska Classic?
So that's I'll bill it as the finest East Metro Frisbee tournament there ever has been, will be. So we're inviting 15 other teams to come.
Wow.
Yep, at South Campus. So we'll have use of the stadium both days. It's just a chance to grow the sport in our area. That's one of our missions as a program. We want to build more opportunities for kids to play Ultimate. So why not host a tournament? You get 7-8 games a weekend. Seems like a win-win in our book. So yeah.
And when will that be?
That'll be April 30th and May 1st at South Campus. So pretty much an all-day event.
Free of charge? Or?
Totally free.
Awesome.
Come down and check it out.
So yeah, if any interest in Ultimate Frisbee at all, go down South Campus. Was that next weekend, I believe? Next weekend.
About a week out.
Should be a great time. So after the regular season, just like any other sport, there are section playoffs here in Minnesota High School Ultimate Frisbee. I understand there were 3 teams in the conference last year. Now there are 5. Is it a big step to have those 2 more teams join the conference?
It is. I mean, I think it's a sign that the sport's growing. So with the addition of Hudson and Woodbury, they now join us, Mahtomedi, and Stillwater. It's kind of the East Metro outpost for Frisbee. But yeah, it does. I wouldn't say it's challenging. I think it's just more opportunities, and it's fun to play a diverse group of teams. So we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, now this will be an exciting year for the Classic Suburban Conference because it'll be the first year that we at TV19 Sports are going to be broadcasting the section championship game. So what your viewers expect to see when they watch that championship game?
I think you'll see an exciting, game to play. Or it's an exciting game to watch, and because it blends so many different aspects of the sport. If you're totally new to it, you'll see seven guys playing against 7 other guys on the field, working to move the disc to an end zone. Yeah, and I hope we see some exciting plays. And I think it'll be a battle for whichever 2 teams end up being in that championship, but should be exciting.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to covering it to allow people to kind of familiarize themselves a little bit more. I certainly look forward to it. It's a game I've played myself. It's very fun. And so after that conference championship, is there a place that these teams go on from there? Is there kind of like a state tournament or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So after that, June 4th and 5th is the state tournament up in Blaine at the Sports Center on their soccer fields out there. So like last year, I'm sure we'll see 70-plus teams competing in it. Open teams, which can be a mix of guys and girls, and then a women's division. So yeah, it's an exciting time of the year. So after the conference championship, the work is definitely not done. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, we certainly look forward to covering the championship game and the White Bear Lake Ultimate Frisbee all season. Cody, I want to thank you so much for joining us and giving us a little bit of insight on this exciting new sport. All right, well, that will pretty much be it for our show here this evening. We have our next Sports Path will be 2 weeks from today. That's May 4th at 7 p.m., of course, going live. We have a few broadcasts in May, including that championship game, which I believe is looking towards May 20th, and that will be at South Campus. It's either the 19th or 20th, but it's looking like the 20th. I want to thank everyone for watching and thank everyone here at TV19 Sports. Hope you all enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
shot, score. What a goal by Ethan Peterson.
Harden will retain possession. Billy Volkov flying, making a run in the net, shoots low, and it goes. And this races in and scores.